Imagine a colossal ship, slicing through the ink-black water of a frozen night. The ocean around it is deathly quiet, a vast expanse of silent, cold darkness. Suddenly, a monstrous shape looms out of the night. An iceberg. A collision is inevitable. But hold on, this isn't 1912. This scene I've just described, it wasn't real. It was written in a book, published in the year 1898. How could a forgotten novel predict the fate of the Titanic with such chilling accuracy? Did an unknown writer, years before the world's most famous maritime disaster, actually foresee the tragedy that would shake the world? Tonight, we're diving deep into one of literature's most unsettling and mysterious coincidences. Let's travel back in time, to late 19th century Philadelphia. Picture a small, cramped room, where a single lamp casts a tired glow over a cluttered desk. This is where we find Morgan Robertson. He's a former sailor, a man who knows the sea's moods and dangers intimately. Now, he's a struggling writer, pouring his frustrations and experiences onto the page. He's crafting a story born from his knowledge of the sea. A tale about human ambition, arrogance, and the unforgiving power of nature. It's a story the world would initially ignore, a book that would gather dust on shelves, until a real-life tragedy made it absolutely impossible to forget. In 1898, Robertson publishes his novel. He calls it Futility, or The Wreck of the Titan. The centerpiece of his story is a magnificent, colossal ship named the Titan. It's the largest vessel ever built, a floating palace of luxury and technological marvel. Sound familiar? In the book, it's described as being practically unsinkable. This fictional ship becomes a mirror, reflecting an era obsessed with progress, an age racing towards bigger, faster, and ultimately, riskier achievements. Robertson's Titan was a monument to human pride. The story reaches its climax one fateful night in April. The Titan is speeding across the North Atlantic, pushing its engines to the limit. The crew receives warnings about ice fields ahead, but they are either ignored or downplayed. The ship is unsinkable, after all. The sea is littered with ice. And then, it happens. A massive iceberg appears out of the darkness. There's a violent impact, a catastrophic gash torn into the ship's side. The sinking is horrifyingly swift, made worse by a critical shortage of lifeboats. Most of the passengers and crew have no escape. It's a terrifying scene of chaos and loss, a fictional nightmare that would, years later, become a horrifying reality. Now, fast forward 14 years. The date is April 15th, 1912. The RMS Titanic, the real-life marvel of engineering, strikes an iceberg on its maiden voyage and sinks into the icy depths of the North Atlantic. The parallels to Robertson's novel are staggering, almost unbelievable. The claim of invincibility, that the ship was unsinkable. The time of year, the month of April. The location, the North Atlantic. The cause of the disaster, a collision with an iceberg. And the tragic consequence, a massive loss of life due to an insufficient number of lifeboats. The similarities are so exact, so specific, that people started to wonder, was this a prophecy? Did Morgan Robertson somehow peer into the future? Or did he just have an uncanny understanding of the dangers of maritime pride and the inevitable consequences of human hubris? After the real Titanic went down, Robertson's forgotten book was suddenly rediscovered. It was pulled from obscurity and became a sensation. Newspapers and magazines across the globe ran stories about the eerie similarities. Public debates raged. People were desperate to find meaning in the tragedy, to understand how this could have happened. They looked to Robertson's book for answers. Was it a genuine prophecy, a psychic vision, or was it all just a mind-bending one-in-a-billion coincidence? Experts and enthusiasts alike revisited the novel, scrutinizing every page. Every detail of the fictional Titan was compared to the real Titanic. The dimensions, the tonnage, the speed, the number of passengers, it was all analyzed. The coincidences were dissected and debated endlessly. For his part, Morgan Robertson never claimed to be a prophet. He never said he had any supernatural foresight. He was a practical man, a former sailor who had spent years at sea. He explained that he simply wrote about what he knew. He understood the trends in shipbuilding, the push for greater size and speed. He knew the North Atlantic was a dangerous place, filled with icebergs. He saw the overconfidence of the shipping industry and simply wrote a cautionary tale based on his professional knowledge. A story about what he believed was a disaster waiting to happen if humans kept chasing the illusion of invincibility. So, when you look at it that way, the true message of the book isn't about prediction, it's about a warning. A powerful, prescient warning from a writer who, thanks to his own experiences, understood the sea and its dangers far better than the engineers and businessmen who built the grandest ship on Earth. The Titan was just a work of fiction, a story spun from imagination and experience, until the Titanic made it devastatingly true. This story makes you think, doesn't it? It shows how sometimes art and literature can hold up a mirror to our own follies, showing us a future we might be heading towards if we're not careful. But this wasn't the only time that a work of fiction seemed to predict a real-world event with spooky accuracy. There are other predictions out there, some just as eerie and fascinating as the story of the Titan, and we'll be exploring them in our upcoming videos. Thanks for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as I did, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what's coming next. See you in the next one.